quick intro of who you are and your interests and stuff like that?
Yes, sure. I just onboarded last week. My name is Iram. I'm from Turkey, but was based in Chicago and now moving to New York. Just been in the space for around 2 months now, just getting the feel of a few different DAOs, very interested in regenerative design and token engineering. And I come from a journalism communications background, so more interested in the content side, also getting the word out there and TC's value proposition to kind of to the world as well, and also very interested in governance mechanisms. So coming into different working groups this week and meeting people, and I feel so welcomed already. So thank you for that and for the intro.
Sure. Yeah, welcome to Sampo. And yeah, and maybe there's a place in some of the writing work around how we talk about and position the TEC and the economic value of the TEC. So we can follow up on that later. Welcome, Zeptimus.
Hey everyone, happy to be here again.
Zeptimus is the all-seeing eye. Just so that everybody knows that he's watching everything, I submitted a transaction payments for Sampo, and 15 minutes later, I got a notification from him asking to update the sheet. So it's working. Our systems are working.
It was not a coincidence, I swear.
That was hilarious. Okay, so I am going to share my screen and okay, so for those of you, actually, it's probably just for you right now. We use a collaboration tool called Clarity, and that's what I'm working in right now. And after the call, I can send you a note, to like get you into the Clarity base.
Awesome, thanks.
Yeah. So for right now, what we're going to do is kick things off, and actually, I'm going to just ask you to read. So what we do at the beginning of these calls is like just read the Sampo mission out loud. I have one person do it. So would you be willing to do the honors today? Can you read that?
Yes, of course. Okay. The Sampo Working Group develops and grows the value of the economic layer of the token engineering commons. It aligns this microeconomy with the TEC mission and the collective success and individual benefits of its token holders.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. So, okay, so the check-in question today is, I'm just trying to get a feel for like this whole question of philanthropy on the blockchain. So how do you feel personally about contributing funds as like a philanthropic gift to a public goods blockchain project? My first question is that question clear? What I mean by that? I'm going to take that as a yes. And so if you are unsure when you're answering, just let me know and I can clarify. So
wait, what's the question? Sorry.
Question is, how do you feel personally about contributing funds to a blockchain project in a philanthropic way, right? As a gift rather than like buying tokens. Okay. So actually, Nate, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed doing it. I think between like Giveth and Gitcoin and just people who are doing really good work in the space, giving it out is a lot different than it feels when it comes out of your debit card or something. So I think it's I don't know. I don't have a problem with it. I think it feels really great, just as anything else. I think it's a lot easier, and I can cope with it just because I know exactly what I'm giving it to. I think the details and understanding where your money is going, it makes it a little bit more relaxing to give any excess funds that you may have or feel like you want to invest in somebody's good work. So yeah, I think it's a lot easier than a traditional money system. So I'll pass it over to Bear.
Thank you, Nate. Yeah, I think it's an interesting experience, yeah, right? Because we compared with like the traditional world and the process of doing it. It's different, right? Like what Nate was saying, you don't use your debit card, right? You use tokens. So from that point of view, I feel it's like a really richful experience because you realize that there are other ways of doing things, and I'm having like a greater impact and more like direct and probably measurable impact that you can give, even if you like, if you just contribute with a couple of tokens, right? It's easier, I feel, to see that having an impact in the project that you are supporting. So I think that gives you like a good feeling, right, when you do it. And yeah, I think that would be for me. I pass it to Jean.
Fair. Yeah, I second Nathan and Bear's statements. It feels good. It's fun. It's enjoyable to use Giveth or use Gitcoin, particularly Gitcoin with the quadratic funding mechanism. It's like exciting to just give $1 to something and use your human curation tool as yourself, as the way to get some extra funding to a platform or to a project. So yeah, I find it particularly enjoyable. I will pass it to Rex.
Sure. I mean, I think it's a very nerdy thing, all of us here, kind of talking about this, because I still don't think it's anywhere near kind of a mainstreamness, but I would agree with the general view that kind of donating through Giveth or through Gitcoin is much more fun and much more transparent than giving it to a charity. It feels much more like what's the name of that? The other kind of funding platforms almost, which generally a better system than the current kind of charity intransparent mammoths being richest to the charity CEOs and then spending pennies on their cause. So yes, it's my view. I'll pass it to Septi.
Thanks, Rex. Yeah, I feel like, it's also like very hard to say because, like Gitcoin, if you're a Gitcoin donor, like you are getting more than what you're donating, right? And then, I also think like something that is like, that makes Gitcoin a pleasure to make donations is like, the people like you're donating, and it's like, okay, you donate them, I don't know, 10 DAI, and then they will receive like 20. And it's like, okay, I'm funding my friend up with 10 DAI and he's receiving 20. Like, how cool is that, right? And then he's doing the impact in the world like he's saying he's doing. It's like, it's a win-win situation. Yeah, and also like I feel like, especially Gitcoin, even if there is no more airdrops now, like people is kind of addicted on doing Gitcoin donations. It's just because like they hack our brains. Like in the past, I never donate, and I'm donating every round of Gitcoin and on Give sometimes, but not so much as Gitcoin. Yeah, those are my thoughts. I'll pass it to CryptoZack.
Hey guys, yeah. So when I think of contributing funds to missions, it's because I definitely align with the mission, and also in the back of my mind, I think that crypto is really good at retroactively rewarding people for their contributions that they make, especially towards like impact-focused missions. And if it's successful, then usually the crypto projects go and track and reward the users that participated. the hard part is kind of preventing the system from being gamed by people creating lots of wallets and just trying to farm all these retroactive distributions. So I think maybe something, some form of commitment and participation other than just donating would be the right way to retroactively reward the people who did actually donate philanthropically. But there's a that's a big question and would require a lot of brainstorming and thought to answer.
Do you want to pass it to either Irem or Enti?
Yeah, I pass it to Auntie.
Thanks. Yeah, I resonate with a lot of what everyone else has said. I guess it feels quite nice for various reasons. First of all, we are close in the space, so you know the folks, or I guess you can sort of imagine what they may need or not, or at least you make any like you make it up for yourself. Um, I think there's also, as Septi said with Gitcoin, if even if I have just $10 or something, it's like um, if I know there's going to be a great match, it's a bigger incentive for me to move, if even just $1 or something. Um, Whereas in a more traditional space, if I didn't have like much spare to give, I probably wouldn't even bother to do it. Um, and then for the everything is so open, everyone's so nice, you can see with just a few clicks all these projects, what are they working on, and so you clearly see the value in them, so it just feels right to do so. And Idem's left, right? Okay.
Yeah, I'll also second a lot of the things already said. I think some of the value in it is just the transparency and bypassing the bureaucratic overhead or inefficiencies that are just so common in these philanthropic organizations usually and nonprofits. So I just think it's very exciting. But I also have not donated yet to any of those. So something on my list that I'm looking forward to start contributing to. And pass it to Gideon, right? You're the last one. Also, can we see your cup again? Your glass? The octopus?
Yeah, this is an octopus glass,
Oh, cool.
Octo Cup. Okay, thanks everybody. Well, I will second what everybody's saying. I guess the only thing I have to admit is that I sometimes find it confusing. Like, why would I give to this organization, but then buy tokens over in this organization? Sometimes that line for me is a little bit confusing. And we actually had something last week. I got somebody who was very confused. We sent a message out. TC sent a message out that was simply just pointing people to the Convert, the ABC page, and they were really confused. Like, why are you asking me for more money? And it's like, are you like, is this a donation? Like there was like all these questions that kind of came. So that was part of why I was asking this, is whether this is, as we think about raising funds going forward, and we're going to talk about this a little bit, like how do we think about this difference between philanthropy and then actually buying a token? But we'll get to that in a second. So quick updates. One question that we want to explore is this meeting time for Sampo is a little bit late in the day for people who are in Europe. And so let me just do like a quick, just very quick round robin. Please just take like 10 seconds. How would you all feel about trying to find another time earlier in the day on one of the weekdays? So Bear, let me start with you.
Yeah, I think it would be a good idea, and if everyone agrees, I could create the doodle to find the time, if that's something. Yeah, I just pass it to CryptoSec.
Sorry, I missed that question. Can you repeat that?
The question is, would earlier time in the day work for the sample meeting?
Yeah, earlier time of the day would work. Yeah, for me, sure.
Okay. Gene, how about you?
Yes, sounds good.
I'm just going to do lightning round. NT, how about you?
Yep, same.
Okay. Nate?
11 a.m.
That's very specific. Okay.
That is,
Okay.
that's what I got.
That's what you got. Okay. Okay. So it might be tough for you. Okay. Fair enough. Irem?
Yeah, works.
Okay. Zepti?
Yeah, way better. Right now it's 22:17. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And Rex, last but certainly not least. Oh, and Mert too. Hold on. Hey, Mert. Rex, how about you?
I can do earlier. I work until 3-4 hours ago. So if it moves more than like 3 hours earlier, I probably won't be able to make it. I already ditch work for transparency, so I can't ditch it like once a week.
Okay. Mert, I was just asking about moving this meeting to earlier in the day on some day. Would that be easier for you doing it earlier?
Yes, actually, it's pretty late here in Turkey. It's like 11 o'clock night. So that's why I'm actually not like joining regularly to this one, even though
Yeah.
you suggest me to. Yeah, so it will be nice, and I will make more effort to join this call if it is earlier.
Okay, great. So Bear, you and I will follow up afterwards and just see what's the best way. One of the reasons we did this in the afternoon is because Griff has such a tight schedule, and I really wanted to get him on these calls, but he's out for a big chunk of the summer. So, okay, so we'll follow up on that. Nate, do you want to just give a quick update? This is just a couple minutes of like where you're at with the Treasury policy.
Yeah, so still working pretty hard on this treasury policy. There are a couple areas that still I would like to have more comments on. I think that especially when it comes to the investment strategies, I want to say thank you, Bear and NT, for your comments. Gideon, you as well. And specifically in the investment strategies and DeFi applications, I know that Bear had brought up some possible strategies that weren't articulated. That we could possibly explore. If you know an example of these things, or if you're more familiar, like the NFT thing, I'm not familiar of the DeFi applications other than as a store of value. I worry about liquidity of those types of things, but if they're worth putting in, feel free to put a section in and just write it out. If you have other comments, it would help a lot. I'm going to kind of keep this document open if you haven't seen the document, and I'm going to slowly massage it out to the point where we have a kind of a formal document, and as well as a roadmap and a set of checklists of things that need to be done before we set up a proposal and post this on the forum and go through the advice process. So if you have any comments, ideas, critiques, please throw them in the document, no matter what they are. The whole point of this is try to get this done by probably the end of this week. And just the end of the week, and then we'll get it taken care of. So that's all I have for it, though.
Okay, thank you. And that link is in the Sampo channel, right? The text channel, right?
It should be, yes.
Yeah. Do you want to just put a link in the chat here in this?
Yep, I can do that.
Great. Thank you. Okay. So I actually have two more quick updates. One is Pam and I are making pretty fast progress on this consulting services intake form. So we'll do a more like a fuller update next week, but think very lightweight. This thing is going to be super lightweight, and we're trying to get this shipped by like early August. So it's when we ship, it's basically just going to be a form, FORM, not FORUM. It's just a form that will collect information from people who need token engineering help. And then we're going to just create a category, a new category in the forum, FORUM, the TEC discourse forum, where we will post these things. And then we'll be working with consulting, like a handful of consultants, token engineering consultants, to get their eyes on these projects as a way of potentially doing matchmaking. Very, very simple to start. And then we'll grow it from there. So that's the update on that. And then just very briefly, I had a really interesting call just like, I don't know, an hour or so ago with somebody who works at DAOstack, Shahar Oriel. And he's got some interesting technology that he would like to partner with us on around basically using Discord feedback, so emoticon clicks, as a way to highlight information in Discord where there's a lot of activity. And so I've been thinking for a while about using stuff like that to curate content, token engineering type content, which could be used for lots of different things. So he and I were talking about this, whether there's something here, and we'll follow up in one of the next calls with more details on that.
I have a question on the form. I on the kind of matchmaking. It's the only question I'm going to have, I think. What's our cut? Like, how much are we going to take? Are we going to impose like a 2.5% tax on matchmaking or something of the sort? Or are we going to leave that until V2?
We're leaving it until V2. Actually, probably like V.5, which will be in the probably October timeframe. And what that's probably going to look like is requiring both sides to hold TEC tokens, like a certain amount of TEC tokens, which will require a tribute going in and going out when you purchase and when you sell. And then if there's work that we do to kind of help with the preparation of the proposal, that's stuff that we would probably charge for.
It would probably make sense to have a sort of. I know in some channels, some like Discord groups where you buy and sell graphics cards, there's intermediary bots which take care of fact, the requirements being completed and money is only moved once said requirements are complete. I'm not sure whether we want to, maybe not at all in like V1, but in future whether we'd want to implement something like that. Then that as part of the service is our tax. So not only the matchmaking, but the security that such an engagement would provide.
Yeah, like a escrow kind of.
That's right. Yeah. That's the word I was looking for.
Yeah. Feel free to shoot me any information you have on that. That sounds interesting. Basically, we're going light, and we're using minimum viable product as kind of the frame so that we can iterate and get feedback. Okay, let's keep going because there's a couple other things that we want to cover today. So one is this Discord token holder channel. NT is handling the kind of the technical side of this, like looking at solutions. I'm going to be posting probably later this week just an overview of this up on the forum, TEC forum, to part of the community advice process. Basic idea is, that this will be a token gated channel in TEC Discord. Only people who can get to it will be those who hold TEC, which is, within the next few months is going to expand pretty. It'll be much easier to get a hold of TEC because when you go through the orientation, you will be dished praise, and with the praise, you'll get some TEC. So, still trying to figure out exactly what the content would be in this channel. And so, I'm looking at things like what's listed here, financial updates, the audit announcement from Transparency, things around kind of that side of the transparency and financial updates. Conviction voting updates, so like what's happening with proposals, conviction voting. Working group updates. So this is what Costa is doing right now on the forum. We're thinking about moving that over to here, and then possibly things like contribution opportunities. LBS is working with Edu in the Communitas group to highlight like first contributions, like opportunities for easy contributions for people who are just getting started here, and other types of contributions. So like that might be like a note, like not a job board, but something like that. Different ways to get involved and be part of the economic layer. So I'm curious if people have other ideas that pop to mind right now, or if there are people who would like to help out with this content side of things and thinking about what in this channel.
So we are going to kind of hide some of the work we're doing. I mean, it's not so high because anyone will praise. It's pretty easy entry barrier, which is good, but yeah, just clarifying on that.
Yeah. Hey, Griff. Welcome. So your question, Zepti, is are we going to hide some of the content? That's the question.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I think so. Just, it's, first of all, this is an experiment. We'll run this through the end of the year to see how it works. And part of what we're going to be checking is cultural impact that something like this has. But I think that what we'll try to do is make it so that it's stuff that is most relevant to people who are participating in the economic life, right? People who hold the token. And so you can still come in to the TC, hang out, talk with people, all the things that, most people end up doing today anyways, but trying to kind of like find a set of content that will be at least nominally, at least minimally valuable as a way to kind of increase the value of holding the token, the perceived value.
Thanks.
Other thoughts, people?
I think that as controversial as this is probably, I think you've thought this through well, and it's probably the best way you can implement a token gate, because the main important route via which we onboard people aren't going to be touched. And that was my main worry.
Can you say that again? You were worried that if we put this in the way of onboarding, that will be a block, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, exactly. So in my eyes, all is good as long as we don't hinder the process of onboarding, because I feel that that's what the community needs most. It needs to grow. Like this one doesn't impact the process, so it's a good idea.
Yeah, I think that that's true. We have to be super careful. We got to be very careful not to do anything that's going to slow people coming in, feeling like they're part of the community. I mean, the upside of this is if this can help to spur people's purchasing of the token, then we also are going to get more people who can participate in governance too. So this is kind of like you come in as a newcomer, you be as a newcomer, and then you become a member, and as a member, then so the bigger frame on this, just so everybody, maybe not everybody's familiar with what's happening over in Communitas on this front, but the idea is we're about to propose TEC membership, which requires that you've been oriented, you've gone through orientation, you've signed the community covenant, you've activated yourself with praise so that you can not just receive praise, but you can dish praise. And then you own TEC, you own the token. So these are basically ways of saying, hey, I agree to play by the protocols or the agreements of the community. And when you do that, then you're a member. And so this would be saying, like, pretty much everybody who's a member is also going to have the token, and so they would be able to get access. But it might be a week or two before they got access to the channel. Any other questions or comments or thoughts about what might be in that channel?
I was in that Communitas meeting, but I was wondering if there's a minimum TEC token you need to hold for that. Did you talk about that in the proposal? Is it just any amount of TEC, or is there minimum?
That's a great question. Right now, we're just thinking the minimum amount, like one TEC. Like, we're not going to make money on this, but so this is really just more of an experiment. So we're thinking that right now it would just be like a very minimal amount, like probably one TEC. Beyond that, it starts to get a little bit arbitrary. We wouldn't want to do something that's like a TEC or anything that's going to get in the way of people doing this. Is it 5? Is it 10? But for right now, I'm thinking that one is like one TEC just require. But do other people have thoughts on that?
I'm just going to say, like, from praise, some people is receiving like less than one, so it might exclude some people that do not buy the token.
Yeah, I mean, we could set the minimum level to the equivalent of what one quantification of one minimal praise would be. And so if anybody's ever been praised at all, then that point, maybe 0.001 or 0.0001, but dust could even be included. And if you have TEC dust, then you qualify.
Okay. Yeah, one of the questions too is like, there's some benefit of having people actually purchase it through the through the bonding curve, because that is actually some work. For I think most of us at this point, it's not that hard. But the first time I did it, it was it took some figuring out. So yeah.
It took me like 45 minutes, but I'm so new and just kind of changing from mainnet to Gnosis. I had to learn all of that, but it was actually really helpful. So yeah, it was part of the onboarding process. Long time.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think we'll probably want to avoid. So Gene, I think your point is a good one. Let's figure out what that minimum, what that amount is, what the dust is, and probably tie to that for now.
I want to share something that is contradictory with I just shared, but yeah, I also wanted to share, which is like if we make it so easy, like everyone got access, what's the point of gating it? Like it's nice, like have some kind of complex. Like that's the other side. Like it gets some engagement. Like if everyone have it, then there is no, it's you don't feel special from having it because everyone have it.
Yeah, that's fair. I think that the reason to try this like this is really just to figure out. This is like a test, to see what it's actually like. I think if we raise the minimum up to some point where it would make a difference in screening people, then I think we run into a whole bunch of other questions. And I'm just trying to keep this simple in the beginning, to just see what it's even like to do, culturally, but then also just operationally, like to technically what it's like to. So
Yeah, I don't think the details are all that important in my own opinion. I think that the big value here is to have this tooling available in case we want to do something later on that associates our Discord channel with the token itself and have some type of intricate play between those two. And so I think building that infrastructure right now is like the true value of it. Whether we generate any value from actually token gating a channel or not is secondary in my opinion. But yeah, so I just want to put that out there.
Yeah.
Have alternative mechanism could consider as well. Though it is higher complexity than what we're thinking right now, we could also have some sort of, so we could ask people to stake NTC, receive an NFT for it, and gain access that way. And whenever they want to leave, just return the FT and get their TC back. Could also be a potential way token gate if we're not doing it that way. It's just something like you thought about now.
So it turns out, sorry, Rex. It turns out we do have that tool or something like that. Maybe we could use this deposit manager is part of Gardens today. Well, let's not go into a lot of detail on this, but there is a way that we have today of basically getting people to lock TEC into Gardens. So we could do that, but I think that for this test, for right now, we probably want to avoid that.
And we want it to be easy for now.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to let's move to the next topic. But if people have thoughts on this, particularly, I'm very interested in content ideas, like how can we actually make this channel, this test at least, interesting and worthwhile and valuable. So if people are interested in that, please contact me afterwards. Just follow up. Okay. Okay, I want to go to something. This is kind of builds off of the intro question. I'm going to take like maybe 5 minutes to go through this, basically a taxonomy of different types of income that we're talking about in Sampo, because I think why does this matter? Because by September, we're going to start working on our pitches. Like we'll have some pitches that we'll be making to the world about supporting the TEC, like the next wave of support. And so we need to know what we're pitching and who we're pitching to. So that's like just having some clarity when we're doing that framing of our pitches, the way that we describe ourselves and the way that we describe the value proposition. And then also, like, I just find that sometimes it's confusing, right? In this new world, what does it mean? What is fundraising in this world, right? Of Web3. So I just want to clarify some framing and then get your thoughts on it. So, and this may not be the only way to frame it, but this is my first cut at this, right? So income categories, basically we're talking about at a high level, there's fundraising, there's revenues, and there's financial returns. So within fundraising, there's two types. There's philanthropy, like basically grants, and then there's holding tokens. Like you hear people talking about raising funds, but what they're talking about is basically getting people to buy the token, right? And so I think for us, it's going to be important for us to just be very clear about which one of these we're talking about. In philanthropy, it breaks down into like this is a world I know well because I spent like nearly 10 years in this. It's like individual donations or organizational grants. So in individual donations, you find like major donors, and then like smaller scale contributions, like typically called membership. And then you have organizational grants. So those will be typically foundations, but like, Gitcoin, Ethereum Foundation are kind of the versions of those. And when you're talking about grants, they can be general support grants, which goes to the overall operations. They're not restricted in terms of how they're used. Or there can be restricted funds, which means that let's say I'm giving 10,000 DAI to such an organization, but I only want it to be used on project X. So that's the fundraising side, or the philanthropy side of fundraising. And then within token holding, lots of different ways of talking about this. Like in terms of why would somebody hold the TEC token? There's this question of like motivations. Are they doing it for like degen, just basically focused on make the number go up? Or are they focused on impact? Are they are they holding the token because it gets them something, like this whole token gated thing? Or are they doing it really more for appreciation, like token appreciation? And then there's this question of, especially as we're looking at this consulting service and requiring that people eventually hold TEC tokens in order to participate. This brings up this question of, yes, there are individuals who can hold the token, but what would it be like for an organization to be required to hold the token in order to participate? And so that's like on the fundraising side of it. And then there's the revenue side of it, which is service fees. So that might be working group consulting revenues. Let's say that we have Gravity earning income today. That's an example of that. Transparency were to start earning, well, it is starting to earn some revenues. That would be an example of that. Some of these automated TEC services that we're talking about, like the next generation of our services, those could earn revenue as well. And then taxes, in quotes, I should put that in quotes, but basically the augmented bonding curve has tributes, entry and exit tributes. So that could be considered a kind of tax by the economic layer of the TEC. There might even someday be service tributes. So if a working group was launched by the TEC, was funded by the TEC, and it starts earning income outside of the TEC, maybe there should be some type of tribute that goes back to the TEC for all of the support it provided in the beginning as it got launched. And then finally, there's the financial returns, which would be things like treasury yield. This is the stuff that Nate is working on right now. And then also, token appreciation. So if we're doing like governance swaps with allies, or even just think like this is crazy right now, but if the common pool funds weren't just grants, but they were actual investments in projects, what would that look like? Like they were required to give us some portion of their tokens as part of that investment. So these are some examples, but mostly what I'm interested in is painting this kind of like a schema or categorization schema for thinking about the kinds of income that the TEC can generate. So now I'm going to be quiet for a little bit and I'd love to just open it up to just thoughts, feedback, thoughts, other ways of thinking about this, etc.
Yeah, I think it's great the way you organize it by categories. I think that provides a lot of clarity to like the different projects and objectives that Sampo could take. And even I feel like this way you can look at it like from a time perspective. For example, like in my opinion, to start getting results from these three different categories, I feel like fundraising it's more like in the short term, like something easier that could get done. Maybe revenues like more in a middle term, and financial returns is probably more in the long term, right? But at the same time, are the three of them are things that have to start being working on now, I think. But yeah, I just see that, so maybe like looking forward, how are we gonna prioritize the different projects based on the TEC needs, and how can we align these categories to that? So yeah, that would be.
Yeah, I like the taxonomy of it too. I think it covers everything. The one aspect of just kind of the details of especially the services realm is I feel that we still don't have a complete picture of the needs, especially when it comes to token engineering projects. What types of services we can offer, what type of needs that they actually have. I'm not sure that we are embedded enough into these other organizations to get that picture yet, and so that's a part of the initiative that I think is lacking to give us a kind of a goalpost or a milestone marker to march towards. And so I think that kind of needs to be on our minds, in the forefront of our minds. So just trying to get a better clarity around the needs of token engineering projects and what we can offer them, or at least have a direction to build in. So yeah.
Cool, great feedback. Other people?
Yeah, I can say something actually. So, firstly, maybe like discussing the token utility would be nice. Like, so we are the token engineering commons, and we can create the best incentives around the TEC token. So, like right now, there's no incentive to buy TC token other than if you wanted to participate in governance, or if you wanted to support this organization. But there may be some other things. Even we can play around with the services and the token, like how can they be intertwined? Can be intertwined. So other thing I want to ask about the treasury yield. You remember, like maybe 2-3 meetings ago, I was suggesting maybe we can create like TC friends pool that we can invest in DeFi strategies. Like, for example, if you are part of the TC community, if you wanted to utilize your money that is sitting somewhere else, and if you trust TC strategy, you can give to that pool. So we will utilize it for it's like basically investment banking for them. One thing that I think that can be interesting to do, and the other just last feedback of mine So the I just take 16 12 policy documents, super detailed. I like it. But is maybe calling an expert, quote unquote. would-
Sorry, Mert. I think is he breaking up for other people, or is
Yeah.
that just
because
You're breaking up, Merc.
yeah, strategy is not and at that document. Probably I would.
hey, hey, Mert?
Sorry, Nate.
Your connection is breaking up. Can you log out and log back in just to see if that maybe helps?
Mert is getting that. I mean, I don't know if it's kind of value line, but I think like we could, do some DJ stuff. Like, what if we just make like a raffle or stuff like that? Like people, put TC tokens, and then they get, then you make a raffle and you distribute TC, but the TC gets some part of the raffle. Like it could be at 10%. Like that's something Vitalik is saying. Like let's make those regions. So because people is so excited about that stuff. I don't know. I think we could get advantage of that.
But I also don't want to accidentally become DGens. I don't want to go from regen to DGen either. So it's a very very tight rope that you're walking.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just throwing it there. I let the experts decide.
No, and I do think that's why utility is extremely important. Utility is long term. So even if it's like really small utility, as simple as a token gated channel that offers something that nobody else has and people are interested in it, like in aggregate, those small things add up, and you have this really strong utility for the token. And so I think really focusing on that, those permanent pieces of utility infrastructure are really, really important to pursue. So I think we just need to keep with the ideation of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've got a point. What if we use the TEC token to incentivize more token engineers to come spend time with the TEC? What if we have like bounties for token engineers to come earn for helping a project that it comes to the TEC to get advice on their tokenomics?
Yeah, I like that. I like that idea a lot. I mean, actually, two ideas on that front that we're kind of playing with. One is for this consulting intake service. These projects are going to be posted on the forum, and one thing that Tam and I are thinking about is basically inviting the people that are going through the token engineering fundamentals course, this new course that's in the fall, inviting them to come and just read through these proposals and basically like them and comment on them as a way to kind of like boost the signal of certain projects. And by merely interacting with the TC discourse, you'll get praise. So that's one way of doing that. Another thing, when I was talking to Shaw today about this curating tool, like you could imagine kind of a similar thing where people are maybe posting interesting articles related to token engineering and just DAOs and things like that in our forum in a particular channel. And the people who are, let's say we get some folks from the token engineering fundamentals course coming in and just liking and interacting with posts, right? That's like an example of that kind of thing. Where by being here and just simply interacting with the content a little bit, you're providing a value to the community in terms of like raising the signal, and then we're paying you a little bit. So is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, I like that idea too. What that made me think about is, so there are a lot of materials that that come up when, like, that can be classified as tokenomics materials or educational materials, but the they all take a lot of time to read, and most people don't have a lot of time to go and check every single one out, let alone like have the skill set to be able to really understand what the like how to apply the information in the materials. I think that if we have a filtering process, a quality filtering process to be able to identify those tokenomic articles and educational materials that are really worth most people's time to read. That could help build our token engineering skill set internally, and also recruit new ones and train up new ones externally.
I love it.
Yeah, and we can have our Discord be an attractive place for token engineers to come to keep up with the latest high quality educational materials.
Nice. Yeah, I think it's cool. That's really good. It's like a reading service, reading and interpretation and context providing service. Yeah. Okay. Any other? We have 3 minutes before the call ends. Any other last thoughts on this? Real quick ones.
Just to add on to what CryptoSac said, I think it's a super cool idea, and this just made me think about these efforts that are happening, like in the comms working group, in the marketing. There's some people there that they are trying to kind of like find ways into make token engineering more digestible for people, in order to be able to, any person that maybe don't have the knowledge or the time, right, to learn about it, can still like understand it and especially apply it into their daily lives. So I think that's pretty powerful if we find a way to make this easy to understand for anyone at any moment and like anywhere. I think that would be like a huge value proposition that we could have.
On those two, like I would love to say, so in Omega Working Group, we are creating a library. I know it took longer than what we have expected, but so for example, this can, for Shebnem was thinking about maybe creating a utility around TEC through that library. Like we have very good quality curations from OGs of the
And
space.
you're
like,
on mute in case you're trying to talk with us.
Can you guys hear me?
No, I can
I
hear.
hear you. I hear you well.
Oh, really? Maybe
Oh, now it just.
I was talking to Mert. If Mert
Yeah,
was
now.
trying to talk.
Yeah, now he's.
Yeah, I couldn't hear either.
Oh, that's interesting.
Oh, can you guys hear now?
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Okay. So maybe in a meeting, me and
I still
Shebnem
can't hear
can
Mert.
come. Like let me.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah. Okay. We need to. Mert, I'm going to follow up with you on that. Okay. Because I meant to do that today, anyways, after my latest call. So I will follow up with you. And it seems like some people are not able to hear you, and others are. So I'll follow up with you separately. Okay, everybody, we are at the top of the hour. Next week, we're going to talk about. I'm going to just run you guys all through the Sampo steward role. We've got that for the organizer role and the steward role. So we just want to be clear about what these roles are supposed to be doing. The people in these roles, I should say. And then Tam's going to give us a more of an update and some seek some advice on the consulting intake service. And then Rex is going to give us an update on the latest. And if you have any suggestions for more, please add them into the agenda anytime. And with that, I'm going to say thank you all for joining on another Sampo call. To have you all here. Take care.
Thanks, Gideon.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, Gideon.
Bye.
Thank you, Gideon. Sorry for